Hello, today we're going to learn about how to write an email. Now, email is nothing but short messages sent from one person to another. Now, the reason it matters a lot, it is much more official in nature and at the same time unofficial as well. It has become a part and parcel of life. So, anywhere and everywhere we go, it has become a standard procedure. The shift from a letter writing format in a paper based method to the complete shift to the electronic mail has actually changed the various paradigms in how we communicate. It is not just in the official environment alone. Even if you have a complaint, letter, request, everything has started to go through this particular platform. So there are various email websites as well which we can use, and we're going to talk about how we actually construct an email and why we do it. So what is an email? So what is an email exactly and how to make an effective email? Few common email habits that cause problems and structure of an email. These are the various things we'll be dealing with in this particular video. So what is an email? They are just text based mail sent via the internet from one person to another or many. It can be, you can mail one person or also a group at the very same time, unlike letters, which is much more different. Next one, it's also a push technology where people are able to understand and receive information in that particular manner. Next, how to make an effective email. First one is selecting your audience. It's a very prime requirement when you write an email. So who are you writing to? If it is to the principal of your institution, or if it is to your colleague, whoever it may be, or even to a friend for that matter. If you understand your audience well, you will know how to craft your writing based on that. Next, using distribution lists. Now, if you were to send a lot of mails to different people, inviting them for a conference, you wouldn't be inviting them individually, and hence you have a common mail template which is set, and then you use a distribution list to communicate with everyone. Next, composing your message, which is definitely one of the most important parts of email writing. So the content matters a lot. No matter what you say, that is the basic component in your writing, because that is what you are trying to communicate through your writing. So you need to compose your mail in such a way it is much more enhanced in manner, much more simple in manner, and much more clear in manner. So under this, the heading should be very much meaningful. Only then they'll be able to understand, which comes under the subject verb. And next, you have to keep it clear and short. So it has to be concise, precise. The subject should not be a very elaborate one, rather a very small one. Next one, start by stating its purpose and context. Earlier, when we used to write emails, we used to write entire details of who we are, where we are from, and all that. But with respect to emails, they already know who you are. We have a signature line as well. So with respect to all of that coming in, it will change the way you actually communicate. Next, few common habits that will actually cause problems. We generally just change the topic without changing the subject. So whenever you write an email, make sure that the subject goes in line with what is being said in the email, the body of the content. So including multiple subjects is always a big time no. It will be confusing for the readers. So make sure you're trying to communicate one ideology through one email. It's much more clear that way, and the communication is much more effective that way. And at times that always happens, the typewriter's devil. We might miss a comma, we might miss or add an extra O in the particular email address, which will cause a misaddressed recipient. Next one, displaying addresses of recipients who are strangers to each other. So under CC, when we put it up, what happens is in carbon copy, everyone can see which other person is also in the list. But it is best when we use BCC for all their emails, so no one will know who else it's being sent to, and it would not cause any problems or other person's privacy's problem. Next, we have structure of an email. So what is the structure of an email? It begins with addressing, so who you are addressing to. Then we have the subject. The subject is basically what you want to say within a very short span of words. Next, we have the body. The body is very important. We usually structure this within paragraphs, maximum 2 to 3 paragraphs. And then we have attachments. Attachments, we generally at times send stating that we have an attachment, but the person who receives it does not get the attachment. So make sure you keep it like a to-do list, a checklist. Every time you make sure all these are ticked before sending an email. And the last one is just signature. Signature gives it much more of a professional outlook. If you see anyone's email ID for that matter, they'll have that much more professional attire to it with respect to the signature. So once you add your signature to it, it'll be much more professional and they'll know who it is coming from. Much more of a standardized format. So if you look at this as well, you have subject, who you're sending it to. We have different templates as well. This is with respect to one of the Gmail write-ups. So who you're sending it to, and this is how you get the mail sent. Next, addressing. In the addressing, you just add the email address of who you're sending the particular email to, the recipient. And it is good to maintain an address book so it's easy to access who you're sending the email to. Next, subject. It has to be precise headline of the message. It's more like a headline for a newspaper article. So the person, without going through the entire mail, should get the gist of what you're trying to communicate through that particular subject. And it'll be easier to handle those emails as well, because if it's a very elaborate subject, people tend to lose interest and would not even put complete focus in reading it. Next, also we should avoid sending emails without subjects because it will not get listed anywhere. Next, message text. It has to be focused and readable. It has to be short as well. It doesn't have to be very elaborate. It's not an essay writing or story writing competition. And brevity and clarity. And last, use paragraphs. So it's much more well structured in that particular manner. And avoid fancy typeface. Generally at times we always stick to Times New Roman. It is best advised to stick to that or Calibri. Don't go for some Gothic and other fonts just to sound or look different. Attachments. Now attachments are very much important as well. Don't use way too many attachments. Use them sparingly. Instead, you can also use URL links by giving a Google Drive link over there. So it will be much more easier for them to access it. Then we have email signature. Use an appropriate signature conveying who you are as an individual, your address and whatnot, and other details. Provide all the contact details. So if they have any queries, they can write back to you or even give you a ring. And also make sure it is very professional, not to include fancy pictures, quotes and animations. It has to look much more professional in that particular manner. So now we'll wrap up with a small task for all of you. Write an email to ben.jm@chrisjayanti.com. You have to write a mail inviting people for a conference that you have arranged. Make sure all these key points are included. Thank you.